You're listening to Dark Vision. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe because the story you're about to hear is one you will never forget. It was on a cold, soaking Thursday night that I first saw him. The man with no face. The figure who would follow me for the next 8 months of my life and nearly drove me insane. My name is Aaron. I live in Washington State, where rainy nights are so normal that no one looks twice at a person walking alone with an umbrella. But this night, something was different. It was around 11:40 p.m. I had stayed back late at work finishing inventory reports, and my car was in the shop, so I had no choice but to walk home. It was a 20-minute walk, nothing crazy. I'd done it 100 times. But as I stepped onto North Pine Street, with the rain hitting the pavement and bouncing mist back into the air, I noticed someone standing on the edge of the sidewalk. A tall man, wearing a long black coat that almost brushed the ground. He held an umbrella, but he wasn't using it. He was just holding it down at his side, letting the rain hit him directly in the face. Or what should have been his face. At first, I thought maybe the rain was just obscuring my vision. Everything was blurry, the streetlights reflected off puddles, and I didn't have my glasses on. But as I walked closer, my steps slowing, my stomach tightening, I could see the truth. He had no features, no eyes, no nose, no mouth. Just smooth, pale skin stretched tight across his skull, like a blank mask. A human form, but missing the very essence of humanity. He didn't move when I approached. He didn't flinch when a car drove by splashing water at his feet. He just stood there, staring straight at me, even though he had no eyes. I sped up, heart racing. There was no way I was going to walk past him. I crossed the street, heading to the opposite sidewalk. Rain smacked my jacket. Water dripped down my neck. My breath fogged in front of me. When I reached the other side, I forced myself not to look back. But then, I heard footsteps, soft, controlled, matched perfectly with mine. I swallowed hard and slowly turned around. He was crossing the street toward me, still with that blank, expressionless face pointed in my direction, still letting the rain hit him like he didn't even feel it. I didn't run. Not yet. I told myself he was just some guy playing a prank, maybe wearing a mask. People did weird things in cities. It wasn't impossible. But something inside me, something instinctual, told me that this was not a mask. I took out my phone and pretended to call someone. My voice shook slightly. Yeah, I'm almost home. No, I'm fine. I said it loud enough so he could hear. His pace slowed, then stopped. I didn't waste the moment. I turned the next corner and practically jogged. My apartment was only 2 blocks away. My clothes were soaked by the time I reached the entrance. I looked behind me one last time, and he was gone. Just vanished. I told myself it was a creepy encounter, nothing more. But that night, at around 3 a.m., I woke up to a sound. Tap, tap, tap. Like something lightly knocking against my window. I lived on the 4th floor. Still half asleep, I walked over to the window, rubbing my eyes and pulling the blinds aside. Nothing was there. But the moment I leaned closer, a drop of water hit the glass from the outside. Then another. Like someone was standing on the narrow ledge, dripping rainwater. I closed the blinds and backed away. That was the first night. It should have ended there. But of course it didn't. A week passed. No sign of the Faceless Man. I convinced myself it had just been a weird coincidence. Maybe the window tapping was just wind, or branches hitting the glass. Then came another rainy night. I was in a grocery store parking lot, loading bags into my trunk, when I felt a presence behind me. Not footsteps. Just something. Like the air itself got heavier. I turned around slowly, and there he was, standing under a flickering streetlight at the far end of the lot. Same black coat, same umbrella hanging uselessly at his side, same blank, ghostly face. He didn't walk toward me. He didn't lift a hand. He didn't even tilt his head. He just watched. My throat dried. My bag slipped from my hands, spilling cans across the wet asphalt. "Hey," I shouted at him. My voice cracked. He didn't react. I got into my car, locked the doors, and started the engine. I looked away for only a second, and when I looked back, He was right in front of my hood. He hadn't moved like a normal person. There was no time for that. One blink, and he was suddenly closer. He raised the umbrella slowly and tapped the tip of it against my windshield. One gentle tap. Only then did I see the raindrops sliding down his face, not dripping off his chin, but sliding directly into the flat surface, like his face absorbed the water. I floored the gas pedal, my heart pounding so hard I thought I'd faint. The car shot forward, but when it reached where he had been standing, he was gone. I drove home shaking. My palms were sweaty, and I kept checking the rearview mirror expecting him to be there. He wasn't. Not then. 2 weeks later, on another rainy evening, I got a knock on my apartment door. 3 slow knocks, then silence. I froze. No one visited me at night. I looked through the peephole. At first, I didn't see anything. Then, I saw the top of someone's head. Someone tall, standing too close to the door. I stepped back immediately. Another knock. This time louder. The entire door vibrated. I swallowed and forced myself to look again. He was leaning forward. His face inches from the peephole. No eyes. No nose. No mouth. Just blank, wet skin pressed against my door. I stumbled backward. Then, I heard a voice, but not from outside the door. Not through the peephole. It was inside the apartment. Inside my head. A whisper that wasn't a whisper. Let me in. I clamped my hands over my ears and squeezed my eyes shut. The voice grew louder. You saw me? You remember me? It wasn't a voice made from vocal cords. It felt artificial, like someone forcing words into my brain. I yelled back, "What do you want?" Silence. Then, in that same emotionless, mind-piercing tone, "Rain. Come into the rain." I didn't open the door. I didn't want to know what would happen if I did. After that, the knocking stopped. When I looked again, the hallway was empty, but a small puddle of rainwater was on the floor right in front of my door. My building hallway was fully indoors. There was no reason for rainwater to be there. I barely slept that night. I needed answers. I spent hours online searching for anything: urban legends, hallucinations, mental disorders, anything that could explain what I was seeing. I found nothing helpful until I stumbled on an old forum discussing paranormal sightings in Washington. Most of it was roleplay nonsense, but one post caught my attention. A user wrote, "Does anyone else see the Faceless Man when it rains? He follows me. He doesn't speak, but sometimes I hear him in my mind. I think he wants me to follow him into the rain." The post was made 7 years ago. The user never posted again after that. I tried messaging them. No response. I checked their profile. Last logged in 7 years earlier. Just disappeared. Another user replied beneath the post, "I saw him too. Night before my brother went missing. Don't let him get close to you." I felt sick reading that. My hands trembled on the mouse. This wasn't just me. Someone else had seen him. Someone who was now gone. It was early December when everything reached its breaking point. The rain that night was heavier than I'd ever seen. Sheets of water poured down non-stop. Lightning flashed every few seconds. The power in my building flickered, then died. I sat in darkness with only the dim light of my phone screen. Tap, tap, tap. Not at the door. Not at the window. From the ceiling, I stared upward slowly. A drop of water landed on my face. Then another. There was no leak. No pipe above me. Something else was up there. I grabbed a flashlight and pointed it upward. What I saw nearly made me scream. 2 long, pale hands were gripping the edge of the ceiling hole where the light fixture sat. Water streamed down the fingers. Then, a head lowered down into the light. A smooth, blank face he hung upside down from the ceiling. Dripping onto my floor, I stumbled backward, falling over my coffee table. My flashlight clattered to the ground. He dropped silently from the ceiling and landed on his feet without a sound. I scrambled toward the door, but he stepped in front of me instantly, like he teleported. Then, for the first time, he revealed something behind that blank face. A mouth. It formed slowly, like it was pushing out from beneath the skin, stretching, tearing, flattening, becoming a wide, unnatural grin. Then it spoke. But the voice didn't come from the mouth. It came from everywhere. "Come with me." I shook my head violently. "No." Leave me alone. Lightning flashed outside, and through the window behind him, I saw dozens of blank faces standing in the rain, just watching. Every lightning flash showed more. 10, 20, 30 pale figures surrounding the building, all staring into my window, all with blank, rain-soaked faces. The one in front of me stepped closer, his newly formed mouth stretched wider and wider. Then he spoke again. "You belong in the rain." I grabbed the nearest thing, a metal lamp, and swung it at him. It passed straight through him, like hitting fog. He didn't react. I bolted into the bedroom and slammed the door. I pushed my dresser in front of it and pressed my back against the wall. The rain outside grew louder. Thunder shook the building. And then, the voice again. "You can't hide from rain." I screamed into my hands. For 40 minutes I sat there, shaking, praying for the storm to end. And eventually, the rain softened, then stopped. A strange warmth filled the apartment, and I knew he was gone. For now. I moved out of that apartment the next morning. I quit my job. I left Washington entirely. I don't tell most people what I experienced. They'd never believe me. But the truth is, he still visits me. Not in person, not physically. Whenever there's a storm, whenever rain hits the ground hard enough, I hear that same voice, whispering, calling, inviting. Sometimes, when thunder cracks suddenly, I swear I see his silhouette out of the corner of my eye, still wearing that long black coat, still holding that umbrella he never uses, still waiting for me to walk into the rain. It's why I avoid storms at all costs, why I stay indoors when clouds gather, because the Faceless Man is patient. He doesn't rush, he doesn't forget, and he has all the time in the world. If you ever walk alone on a rainy night, if you hear footsteps matched perfectly with yours, if you see someone standing too still under a streetlight, never look at his face, never let him notice you, and whatever you do, never step into the rain.